welcome back. Today's show is on an album I kind of came across by mistake. I was sorting my records out and I came across this album, completely forgot about this record. And it was definitely one of my favourite albums. I don't know how I forgot this album. But the album I'm going to be talking about is Eurythmics, the Touch album. Now, Eurythmics were a British pop duo formed in 1980, consisting of Scottish vocalist Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart, who was a big producer at the time. Touch was their third album, their very first album as Eurythmics, because previously they were known as a band called The Tourists, who split up in 1980. And the first Eurythmics album was called In the Garden, didn't do much at all. But it's the second album that we all know them for, and that was Sweet Dreams, which is a massive album for them, but it didn't reach number one. Which I always thought it did, but it didn't. And obviously everyone knows Sweet Dreams, the single, and a couple of singles that came from the album. So that was their kind of their foray into mainstream. Then they released the third album, Touch, and I think, for me, it's my favourite album by Eurythmics. I think the artwork is just incredible. I mean, what an iconic image that is. Yeah, I mean, an amazing sleeve. I remember having this on poster on my wall. This came out I'll tell you exactly when it came out, in November 1983. And this album actually reached number one. Perfect. I always thought it would. 3 singles came from this album. In fact, you've got the hype sticker on the back here. I don't know why it's on the back. Normally put the hype stick on the front. It says, includes the hit singles, Who's That Girl, Right By Your Side, and also the third one, which was Here Comes the Rain. Again, which was my favourite Eurythmics songs. Here Comes the Rain. It was so dark. But Who's That Girl was the first single from this album. And in the video, if you don't remember the video, it was very androgynous. You know, 1 minute she was looking great with, great dress on, great hair. Then she was dressed up like an Elvis impersonator with a little moustache and everything, looking very masculine. But also in that video, if you don't know, if you didn't know this, go back and have a look. The amount of people that were in the video that we all know today. I did have a list. Let's have a look. So you've got people like Hazel O'Connor. You have Siobhan Fahey from Bananarama. Remember, she was also married to Dave Stewart at the time as well, so it makes sense that she was in the video as well. You also had Kate Garner of Hazel Fantasy, Teresa of Dollar. You had Jay Aston and Cheryl Baker of Bucks Fizz, Keith D, Jackie O'Sullivan. I even had Marilyn was in the video. I do remember Marilyn being in the video because around about the same time, he was just about to kickstart his career, and he was quite big this year, 1983 as well. But he was also in the video. So it was quite an amazing video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's so good, a really good video. And as I said, the single I liked from this album was Here Comes the Rain. It was a lot kind of darker. And I kind of like that kind of darker kind of elements of electronic music. And, this album is very electronic with the great vocals of Annie Lennox. The second single, I did like Who's That Girl, but the second single, which was, I'm just trying to find what it is now, Love Is a Stranger. Is it Love Is a Stranger? Anyway, there's a second single that I wasn't actually quite keen on. It was too kind of calypso for me. Right By Your Side, that's the name of the track. You forgot it there. I was not a fan of that track, so I kind of like, oh God, why did they release that as a single? Because there's really good tracks on this. Paint a Rumour, I mean, what a track. I'm sure that appeared on a B-side somewhere, but Paint a Rumour was my favourite track from here, along with Here Comes the Rain Again. The production on it's great, it's very electronic. It's still got the elements of, it's almost like it could be the tracks that I never used for the Sweet Dreams album, but sounding better. If they could be any better, because Dave Stewart was just incredible producer. As I said, it got to number one. To me, this is the pinnacle album, and ran out in the same year as well. They did the soundtrack to 1984, releasing the single Sex Crime. But I do remember there was a lot of hoo-ha over that, and I'm sure I'll do a video on that at some point. But that's a sleeve with the hype sticker on. I do have a second copy, which is a bit battered, with the hype sticker where it should be. There's no difference between these two copies. I don't know why I have two copies, but I do have two copies. The inside sleeve, I thought they could have done a lot more. Yes, Annie Lennox looks amazing on here. And then you've got Dave Stewart I wonder if anyone actually put posters of Dave Stewart up on their wall. I'm not sure. And then the other side is just like these montages, some of the images in here with all the kind of credits for the actual album itself. Nothing kind of special. You know, the labels are all fine. I'm surprised they didn't do a lot more with Annie's image. You know, maybe a free poster. I don't know if this might have come with a poster. If it did, let me know in the comments below if this did come with a poster or something special. Because I kind of wondered why they didn't really kind of capitalise on this. It's a great image. I did have it on my wall at one point. That's probably why it's a bit battered. But that is the Touch album. Now, just after it, in the early 80s, I don't know why a lot more bands don't do this. They release an album, then they release almost like a remix album, the same album but all remixed. I think Imagination did it. I think we're going to do a video on this anyway. You know, you had the Human League Love and Dancing, which is the Dare remix album. You had the Imagination remix album. Howard Jones did one as well. So there was quite a few of them around. So I think we'll definitely do another video on this. But Eurythmics had one as well. All the tracks on Touch. Now, I've got a little bit of information about this as well. Something I didn't know. So this is what we call the Eurythmics Touch Dance. I didn't know this actually came out till, God, maybe 10 years ago. I came across this. Whoa, what is this? Brilliant. I mean, there's got tracks on here like The First Cut, Cool Blue, Paint a Rumour. The version of it on here is incredible. Regrets, First Cut, Cool Blue, Paint a Rumour. So it's kind of the vocal versions and the instrumental, but they don't have all the tracks like the big tracks from the album. It's just these tracks here, 4 tracks. One side you've got the vocal version remix, and then the B side you've got the instrumental. And they were both remixed by 2 American remixers. One being who I absolutely love his stuff is John Jellybean Bennett, because I pronounced his surname, but Jellybean. He was massive at the time here and obviously did all the Madonna stuff. But I used to love his mixes. Whenever there's a Jellybean mix, I used to get it. It's brilliant. And then you have Francis K as well, who did a lot of stuff when it comes to remixing as well. I think he'd done a brilliant remix of a really early Bananarama track as well, which I will do a video on. But between those 2 guys, they did all the mixing on here. And it's brilliant, the way the tracks kind of segue into each other. Also, one I did forget was the Soft Cell album for Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret. They did a remix album for that, which we're going to do a video on shortly as well. But that was Touch Dance. And if you haven't heard it, go and check it out, because these are really good versions. And I love the fact they didn't use the obvious tracks on here. But Paint a Rumour is my favourite on here, and that's Touch Dance. So we were just looking at a bit about this. Annie Lennox did not like this. The fact that she thought the label were capitalising on the success of the Touch album. Why not? Let's get it played in clubs. I think it was a great idea, great versions. But it's something you didn't see around. I said I didn't know about this till a lot later. They didn't kind of publicise the fact they did like remix albums. But if you haven't heard it, go and check it out. It's something you definitely should have in your collection, along with Touch the Original. And that is Eurythmics Touch. Thank you very much.